Hello, my name is Łukowski and represent STORDIS. We had already a couple of different meetings, webinars, when we've been introducing first open networking from the hardware perspective, then software perspective. But today, we would like to take a look on very important aspect, which is the network reliability in general, taking care about the quality. So I have two friends from a company, still like a startup. I don't know if it's still proper to say about you guys, but you are a startup. I hope that it is not with which offense, but definitely you are representing a tremendous technology. So today I have two gentlemen, Bhaskar and Arun. You can introduce yourself, yeah?
Thanks, Lucas. Hi, a brief about Aprecomm. We are one of the rapidly growing Wi-Fi analytics company, and I take care of the sales side of the business, sales and business development I take care of, and Arun is from the product marketing.
Hi, everyone.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, hi, and welcome back. We had like a tiny challenges on the beginning, but like always. Speaking about the agenda today, we will go over that brief introduction about Aprecomm. We will discuss about all the pains in that games related with the wireless and how we can improve the quality, targeting SMB and enterprise. OpEx, that is always a good topic to discuss, and we know that this is crucial in today's world. Finally, we will go over even like a solution demonstration, some kind of like a demo, and like always, please feel free to ask any questions. So on your left-hand side, you have our chat. You can write to us either public or private with any questions on which we will try to answer in the end of our meeting today. So, gentlemen, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Lucas. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this exciting webinar today. I hope you're all doing well, and thank you for your time to attend this session. Today, we will be talking about improving Wi-Fi quality, Wi-Fi network reliability, and how the artificial intelligence and analytics can help you better. Like I said, a brief introduction about Aprecomm. We are a rapidly growing, a new startup, I would say. When I say startup, we're already present in millions of devices already in a very short span of time. So we are a rapidly growing Wi-Fi analytics company. And Aprecomm solutions are vendor agnostic and can be integrated seamlessly across enterprise, public Wi-Fi, and home networks. We take pride in being one of the expert companies working towards improving Wi-Fi experience, and we strive hard for the better experience in the enterprise, public Wi-Fi, and the home user space. Most of the discussion today will be led by Arun and myself. I'll start the presentation, and then Arun will take over and demonstrate the solution. Like Lucas mentioned, you can always place your questions. We'll be happy to answer them, and we can go on. By the end of the webinar, we hope to convey the effectiveness of Wi-Fi analytics, which can help you, to improve your Wi-Fi network reliability, and to reduce OpEx cost will be the goal we want to achieve. Going to the next slide. So inherently, Wi-Fi is complex in nature, right? It's not as easy as compared to the wired networks. At Aprecomm, we have classified Wi-Fi in 5 different areas or issues. First of all, it is the environmental issue, the protocol-related issues, configuration-related issues, mobility, Wi-Fi complexity. So, and the environmental issues can be something like distance to the station, distance from the station, positioning of the access points, the physical structure of the building, the interference from the neighboring devices, channel congestion, etc., etc. And these, especially the structure, are different across different regions. So it has its effect on each of the. A similar network in a location A might not work in a similar way in the location B. So it's important for us to have a holistic view. Many stations create problems due to the way protocols have been implemented, and it can cause interoperability issues, There could be IoT devices in the network, which adds further to the problem. The AP also needs to be configured both in the wired and wireless side. A lot of that is more and more getting automated. There is always an element of a human error, which can also cause issues in the network. Of course, roaming complexities require management of convergence, fast handover, lossless transition, newer technologies which are rapidly getting deployed. It needs to get operationalized sooner, right? It makes it more harder to debug most of the tickets which gets opened up of late. It takes much longer time to debug those issues. So, which means that the person who is debugging the issue should have a deeper expertise on the Wi-Fi or the entire network, and it becomes, the engineer becomes a bottleneck. I mean, replacing or any engineer, whoever is attending the problem has to have a deeper understanding. So we have seen almost 40% of all the network issues are Wi-Fi related, and it takes about an hour to resolve, and by a skilled person. And more often we have seen more often we have not seen the environmental considerations often when they are debugging some of the issues. So it gets really complex in nature. So I'll just further extrapolate, going to the next slide. Extrapolate today's challenge, like the way the networks are being. So what is our progression towards the network management today, right? I mean, we do extensive field trials. We add some sort of a probes or some standardization protocols like TR69 or so on, and then have some controllers give all of those data to kind of a dashboard in a certain way. You have more than one vendor kind of trying to give you the information into the dashboard. And more often it is more of alarm management, and you cannot make sense of what it is. If you have a fault, you need to identify where the problem is, and that is where it gets choking. The problem, I mean, for you to bring all of those devices, all of those statistics together and proactively represent a certain data which makes sense is always a challenge. And we also previously mentioned that the turnaround time of these troubleshooting some of these issues can be really long, especially in the open Wi-Fi. You have more than one vendor coming in, and it becomes really difficult for you to integrate all of these. So what does Aprecomm solution do? Aprecomm solution is a single pane of glass which adds intelligence at various elements of the network. So how does the Aprecomm solutions solve this? We basically have, I'll get to the slide where we talk more technically about the solution, but this is a patented technology and AI-based software. It's a software-only solution which can be implemented for an existing or the legacy network as well as the new network, whatever you're trying to expand on. With the addition of the edge intelligence, we can clearly pinpoint the problem areas quickly and proactively. And this is exactly the moment anyone raises a ticket and to the time the technician, we have some statistics which probably I'll talk about in the latest stage. We are pretty fast in identifying where the problem is. The good part about the solution is we can have an executive view as well as the technician view. So you can always trickle down from a high-level view to a lower-level view of how the QoE is. Right, going to the next slide. Yeah, so this is the intelligence I was talking about. Next slide, please. So what are the key benefits or the impact, right? So the key benefits, what we've seen is for the revenue side, we have seen the operation cost down up to almost 70%. And again, the resolution time is down by almost 60%. This is a very important metric for a network owner to see this. And we have done it for a network which probably has millions of devices. So you can imagine for a smaller scale network, in the enterprise environment, you can understand what kind of value it can bring in. So It reduces the support effort. It optimizes the performance of your devices, and it improves the visibility across different vendors you might have implemented in the network. And it also helps in making the network be available for you. So this is primarily the key benefits. Like I mentioned earlier, we are vendor agnostic, so which means we can work with any vendors. So going to the next slide. So the technology behind this solution is mostly software only. So an agent is installed on the Wi-Fi router, which will gather critical data. We support all the major chipsets like Qualcomm, Broadcom, MediaTek, etc., which makes it easier to work with any AP vendor for us. So the intelligence on the edge provides room for real-time self-healing environment. It helps in self-healing, reduces workload at the server, reduces bandwidth requirements when it is communicating between the agent to the server. And the NLP engine will only help in resolving the simple to resolve issues very quickly. Right? At times we can also try and give access to the end user to have to talk to the intelligence and identify the problem and solve it before they call out the technicians and so on. Okay, next slide. So the way we try and approach this solution is by gathering data at the edge. So the edge device would monitor all the Wi-Fi parameters and the traffic flowing through. We look at the devices connecting through, and then we look at the usage, look at the applications in use, correlate the Wi-Fi and WAN parameters to understand the user experience. And with this, we determine the QoE. And the QoE, the term what we internally use is Hisense. The Hisense is the patented technology we talk about. So Hisense, we give a score on the Hisense, and QoE is scored, and then with that score, you can identify, you can do a top-down approach with the score beyond a certain point. You can always trickle down and see to the abstraction layer of where the problem is, and it's very user-friendly UI. Next slide, please. So this is pretty much like what I mentioned in the previous slide. So we understand the user experience through the QoE. We translate the user experience, to the underlying network issues. For example, we translate the YouTube buffering to poor signal or the poor throughput, provide a precise resolution to the issue. For example, resolution recommended to move the devices closer to the CPE, or in case of congestion, the recommendation would be to change the channel and so on. And we can automate the resolution on that. The AI-based algorithm can steer the self-healing or self-organizing protocol, and which can be predetermined. We solve issues even before the users experience the problem. And we also provide a lot of low-level network information as well in a very user-friendly nature. So at any point in time, a technician wants to do a further debugging, it's all possible for them to do it. So with that, I'll probably hand it over to Arun for do a quick demo. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please do share with us. We'll be happy to answer them at the end of the session. Over to you, Arun. Arun, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Bhaskar, for pointing out. I think you can post your questions in the chat window, probably on your right side. Let me share my screen. And
Absolutely.
So Bhaskar kind of gave you an idea about what we are doing and how we approach the problem. The problem here is essentially trying to make your Wi-Fi work well without having to spend too much money on making the Wi-Fi work well. And this is the solution that I'm going to demonstrate, which will show you how we achieve this through some user interfaces that I'm demonstrating this to you. So first thing, let me kind of give you an idea about the layout of the network that I'm monitoring and how it's presented on our user interfaces, so that you'll be able to relate to that through the discussion. So now you're looking at the main dashboard of a software when an administrator logs in. This is called Aprecomm Virtual Wireless Expert, VWE in short, and we have a version for enterprises, and we also have a version for home segment generally used by the ISPs, and I'm showing you the enterprise solution. So in the enterprise solution, you're looking at the entire network's performance and statistics and the dashboard. Typically, we segment the entire network into multiple sites. So here you're looking at the number of sites in this network. Here, it's only one. This is my demo network, which is actually part of our own office network, which is actively being used and being monitored. So I have only one site here, but in a real environment, in the deployments, you could have multiple sites. So when I say site, it's essentially a logical division. Say, let's say you are managing the Wi-Fi, you are providing managed Wi-Fi for a chain of hotels, and in such case, perhaps you could consider having each physical location as one site. But supposing you're managing Wi-Fi for a very large building, you can also look at each floor being a site and so on. This is a logical division for monitoring that you'll be doing. So you have some basic statistics about the network here, which shows you one site and the number of access points in the entire network and the clients that are connected to it. And further on the left side, you can see the dashboard shows you the entire network related information. Then you can go further down to list of all sites in the network. And then within sites, you can look at access points. So you can also look at list of all access points in the network here and see data about them. And you also can look at the clients that are connected, and you can see all the clients that are connected. So you can go down the tree from sites to access points, and so from the entire network to individual sites, and then individual sites to access points, and then subsequently the devices that are connected to the individual access points. And you can see that this is showing that we're looking at past 12 hours data, but you can also go back to yesterday or a few days before and see past data also. So this is the organization of the network and the layout, how the network administrators or the NOC teams tend to see it. Now, let me go into the part about what Bhaskar mentioned about how we reduce OpEx costs, or how we solve the problems quickly in the Wi-Fi network, and how we make it easy for managed Wi-Fi providers or Wi-Fi network administrators, or anyone who is basically trying to ensure that the enterprise Wi-Fi network is functioning properly. So first thing that you want to do in an enterprise network is you want to rapidly detect the problems that are happening and proactively be able to see that and address that in the fastest possible manner. Enterprises can't afford to have downtime in the network. So as soon as the problem occurs, or even better, before the problem occurs, if you can solve them, nothing like it. So to do that, we have a dashboard that gives you the quality of experience of the entire network. So if you look at these two graphs under customer quality of experience, first thing shows you the number of access points that are there in the entire network. And the second one is a more important graph, which shows the quality of experience of the entire network. So let me speak a little bit more about the quality of experience. What is it and how do we compute and represent this over a graph? The QoE is a value that we compute, or a score that we compute, which can vary from 0 to 100. And 100 meaning the entire network is performing really well. Everyone is having an excellent experience. And as the score goes down, the experience of the network, at least part of the network, is going down, and there's a cause for some kind of alarm. So that's how you look at it. And right now, you're looking at the quality of experience of the entire network. And if you go into the site section, go into individual site, you can look at individual sites quality of experience. And if you go into access point level, you can also see the experience of the access point level. And if you go to clients, you can also see if everyone is having, if the particular client is having a good experience, or if there's some issues or something is affected at that particular client level. A client as in, say, a mobile device or a laptop that is connected to the access point. Now you can also have organize this in a granular fashion for access control. Like you can have the entire network's administration looking at the dashboard. And for sites, you can have an individual site administrator at location or anyone who is responsible for only that site, look at only data related to that site and so on. So to talk about how the quality of experience is computed, so we look at a lot of things that are happening in the entire network. So first thing that we look at is the application experience of the user. When I say application experience of the user, we look at the devices that are connecting to access points. And we also look at what are the applications that are being used by this device. Say, for example, if a mobile phone is streaming YouTube, we have a NDPI, a DPI that does limited kind of packet sampling. And with that, we detect what are the applications that are being used by this particular device. Let's say the phone mobile device that is connected to the access point. And we also see, when we see, let's say we found that a mobile device is using YouTube, we also see whether YouTube is streaming well or there's a sketchy experience, there's some buffering in the YouTube and so on. So similarly, we detect a lot of applications and we also detect application performance of those devices. And this application performance or application experience contribute to the QoE score from 0 to 100. In addition to that, we also look at the network health, underlying Wi-Fi network health. Say we look at congestion, we look at roaming performance, we look at steering, we look at signal levels at which the devices are connecting, we look at the throughput and many other things on the Wi-Fi network. And the health of the Wi-Fi network also contributes to QoE. In addition to that, we also look at WAN parameters from the access point perspective. Say we look at round trip latencies from the WAN or the internet. We look at packet drops happening. We look at DNS performance, how quickly the DNS responds, the server response, and so on. So basically, all the parameters that could affect the end user and end user's application performance are all computed and they eventually calculate to the QoE. Now, this is the network-wide QoE, and if you go into individual sites, you can look at site-wide QoE. And if you go into access point, a specific access point, you can look at access point level QoE. So this can be, when you look at the network-wide dashboard, whenever there's a dip in the experience, say it's mostly 100 in most places, but you can see that there's some point where it is, say 93 or something like that. And you can configure alerts for the network administrators or alarms as and when the QoE goes down. You can send emails or messages and things like that. And the rapid detection involves continuously checking the quality of experience and alerting the concerned person as soon as there's a problem that happens in the network. And we also look at application level insights, which are very important because whenever a user eventually complains, they don't look at congestion or they don't say my roaming experience is bad. They just say that my YouTube is buffering, have a look at it, which is why we give a lot of importance to application level experience as well. So this is rapid detection. The QoE ensures that, and the QoE dashboard ensures that the concerned person, whether it's at network level or site level, is immediately alerted as soon as a problem happens. And we also have proactively resolving or proactively looking at the problem even before the QoE goes down, which I'll talk about later. So now that you have done a rapid detection, so then what do you do next? Then you need to rapidly drill down into where exactly the problem is. So you have to find out, okay, the QoE is down to 93%. What has caused that loss of QoE? What has brought down the QoE down from 100% to 93%? For that, we have issue detection that is available at every level. And as soon as you see that there is a problem, if you look at the issues here, you immediately get to know, okay, there are so many issues that are happening in the network. And you can also see what kind of issues are happening in the network. And you can also see which exact devices are being affected or where exactly is the problem that is happening in the network. So you can see the affected site or you can see the affected APs. So if there's a problem with certain AP, you can expand this. And you can see, okay, AP 24C0 has some issues. And you can go directly into this AP and inside the AP information, you will get precise idea about what exactly is the problem. And you will also get precise information about how exactly can you solve this problem as well. Similarly, you can look at all the devices that were affected, and you can go into data related to the device, and you will get a lot more insights to solve those problems. So one way to go to the affected site is directly clicking on this. But before that, let me just quickly show you the sites. This is the list of sites and problems with the slide. And if you can go into the site, you will see QoE specific to the site. Right now, because we have only one site in the network, this is same as what you see network-wide. But it could vary from site to site, obviously. And a site admin can be informed as soon as the QoE goes down. And then subsequently, you can go down to access point level, where you can actually find out what exactly is the issue that has brought down the QoE, and you'll also find ways to solve those QoE, solve those problems. So this is what I would like to call as a rapid drill down. So we talked about rapid detection, and once you detect, next you need to drill down into the problem areas. So we have just done that, and we have come to the area. Let's say this AP had some issues. So we have come to the area where the issue is. Now, the next thing that you want to do is, now that you know that there are some problems in this AP, you have to do a rapid root cause analysis and try to resolve the problem before a customer starts complaining, saying that I'm unhappy with the network performance and so on. So this is the AP details. And here, if I come down, you have something called the wireless experience, which will help you to do rapid drill down of the problem. In wireless experience, what we do is we proactively detect the issue. I'll show, now we are at past 12 hours of data. Let me go down to past 3 days of data so that you can see more issues. So here we detect all the issues that have happened proactively, even before somebody complains. So say, for example, even for a minute, if some application experience has gone down, a user may not complain, but you can see that in the dashboard, okay, this has happened, and you can proactively try to resolve this. So here at application level, you can see there are some user experience, like browsing experience is affected for 27 minutes, or WhatsApp experience is affected for 55 seconds, and so on. You can also see some people's YouTube streaming was affected, somebody's Amazon usage was affected, and so on. So this is a user experience problem that we have seen, because of which QoE has gone down. And then the next immediate thing that you need to do is you need to know why this has happened, right? The underlying network related issue that has caused this problem. So that is what we present here using our analysis of the network. We proactively tell you what exactly is the issue, so that the network operations team doesn't have to actually go down there, start probing the wireless network and try to find out what may be happening. So we have detected the user experience issues, and we have also detected why the issue, what is the underlying network problem that has caused the issue. Let me go to the next one. You can see Skype experience is affected because of poor signal strength, or you can see that browsing is affected because of congestion, and so on. So we have already detected the underlying network issue that has caused the problem. Now, the next thing is you have understood what is the issue. Then you also have to find out how to solve this, right? So knowing the issue, knowing the problem, we also provide the right recommendation to solve the problem as well. Say, for example, when the congestion has happened, we tell you, because it's happening because of high interference, and you can check the channels, check the AP spectral insights, and you can also try to move to a different channel, and so on. Or when poor signal strength has affected browsing, we tell you that you need to probably move the clients closer to get better performance, and so on. So we have a rapid root cause analysis that is happening here. So now we have done 3 things. First, we did rapid detection of the issue using QoE graphs. Second thing that we did was a rapid drill down of the problem. We found out what is the problem and what is causing the problem. And we have also tried to resolve the problem quickly. Now, because of all these things, you don't need to have Wi-Fi experts sitting in every site and solving the problem. Typically, that's what needs to be done today. Now, first thing is you need a lot of Wi-Fi experts if you have a lot of sites. And because of the way we are looking at the rapid resolution and recommendations, you no longer require Wi-Fi experts in every location. Someone who understands basic network and basic way to resolve the issues can look at our recommendations and be able to resolve the issues. So you don't need skilled persons in large numbers everywhere. And you also don't need to spend a lot of time with this skilled person. Without these recommendations and detection, the skilled person might have to go to the location, look at configuration, look at signal strengths in different parts of the network, maybe look at logs and packet captures, and spend a lot of time trying to analyze the problem and then solve the issues. Now we have done all those activities in advance. Now all that one needs to do is the network operations person or the administrator can just follow the recommendation and the issue will be resolved. So this could happen quite proactively, quite quickly, even before a customer complains. After 10 minutes of using YouTube and seeing that it is frustrating, the user might complain. But if you are using this proactively, within the second minute, you can go active, look at the recommendations, solve the problem so that the customer never has to complain about the issues in the network. Now, we can do rapid resolution, but then we're still talking about manually using the recommendations to solve the problem, right? Now, what if we automate some of these things? Say, for example, when there's congestion, what you need to do is change the channels, right? Now, we know what is the issue, we know what is the user experience, and we know what is causing the user experience issue, and we know how to solve the problem. Now, what about automating that? Now, that is also something that our agent does. That's the beauty of Aprecomm's virtual wireless expert agent. We have a machine learning system, machine learning algorithm in our agent. And what it does is, let's say in the situation like congestion, it continuously monitors what is happening in the network. It is looking at the channel that is being used by the current AP, and it's also looking at the neighboring APs and the signals and congestion and channels being used and so on. And it will see the patterns among all these things. And based on that, it will make a advanced kind of a inference saying that, okay, if we change to certain channel, then you will consistently keep getting good throughput for a longer period and so on. Now, some APs might have some degree of intelligence built into it, but because we move radio resource management to the cloud, and because we also look at the neighboring APs consistently, we can do a far better job with our machine learning based algorithm in switching channels or choosing the right frequency and all that. So we call this algorithm as intelligent frequency selection. So with this, when there is congestion, and potentially you could have 32 minutes of browsing experience getting affected, so that can be completely eliminated when you enable this machine learning algorithm in our agent. And in the first minute itself, as soon as we see that congestion could happen, even before the user experiences the problem, we would have already changed the channel, and the problem would never occur to the user at all. The user will never get to see the problem at all. So similarly, we have many other intelligent algorithms. We can do band steering based on some advanced ML algorithms, and we can also get the device to choose the right AP when they're roaming, using our algorithms and so on. So there are many issues that can be solved even before the user gets to see those issues, and they happen so rapidly that they don't even realize this. So we call this self-organizing and self-healing devices, which kind of take care of themselves rather than having to rely on a human being to make the configuration changes and ensure that the network is working properly. So we look at various parameters in the network, like the Wi-Fi connectivity related things, and like I mentioned, WAN issues. We detect the applications. We look at steering issues. We look at roaming issues. We look at AP stability. So anything that happens within the Wi-Fi network, we proactively look at it. We proactively provide solutions to it. And wherever possible, we also automatically solve this using our machine learning systems. So this is how you do rapid root cause analysis, and you also go on to actually proactively solve the issues. And what you're seeing is that about 80% of the network issues could be solved at this level itself. So there is no need of visiting the location where the issue has happened. From the central monitoring station itself, the NOC team can look at these issues, and they can solve these issues by reconfiguring the AP or doing whatever is required to do from the remote location. Plus, you also don't need too many Wi-Fi experts to man the entire network. You can do with a few people who may need to look at some issues in detail if at all it is required. what we have seen is that 80% of the Wi-Fi problems can be solved at this level itself. So what would originally take maybe a few hours for a Wi-Fi expert to go there, analyze the network, and come up with a resolution can happen in a few minutes at this point in time. We have brought down hours of work to some minutes of work, and without even having to involve a Wi-Fi expert at this point in time. So I said 80% of the problems can be solved here, right? What about the remaining 20% of the problem? So you might still have to look at low-level Wi-Fi network data, and even that, you don't need to go back to the AP, look at the AP logs or packet captures and all to do that. We also provide lower-level details, and we present that to you in such a manner that it's very easy for you to look at those and correlate the data and understand what exactly is the issue and try to solve that. So in those few situations where this has not solved the problem, you can go back to the quality of experience. This is at the AP level. Let me just go down to past 12 days again, so that 12 hours again, so that it's easy for me to show you more information. Yeah, so now I can see that there are some places where there's some dip in quality of experience. There's somewhere here and somewhere here and so on, right? So from here, I can get more information. Now, let me zoom into this portion and let me click on a portion. So in this place, you can see that there's a dip in the quality of experience. So if I click in this section, we get into second level insights, which actually shows network level information. So we call this evolve insights, which has first concluded that there's a bad wireless experience. And then it presents you network data like Wi-Fi network data or WAN data, and also applications that are being used. Here we see that browsing is application affected. If there are multiple applications, you would see multiple lines here. And then you can look at Wi-Fi data and you can try to correlate as and when it's required. So you would want to come here only if the first level insights and recommendations did not work for you. So here the correlation becomes simpler. Browsing is affected. What could be the reason? It could be because of congestion. It could be because of signal coverage. You can see signal coverage is moderate and Wi-Fi capacity is moderate and so on. So a Wi-Fi engineer can look at these data, correlate them in an easy manner and come to their own conclusion if required. So you can click on these things to get more low-level details. Like if you click on congestion, you get radio usage information. You can see that the 2.4G radio here is used by about more than 70%, which kind of tells you that, okay, there's some congestion in this network. And these are the devices that are connected to 2.4G radio. And there's a 5G radio, which is probably not very affected here, right? So you can access the low-level information, and if at all required, you can come here and find out more details. So that is how you can further do rapid analysis, even if first level analysis hasn't solved your problems. Further, you can also go into device level and look at device level experience, wherein we have some more intelligent insights. So you can click on any of these devices and go to device level insights. Instead of coming here, what I will do is I'll come here back to the dashboard. I will look at the issues that we had. Let me look at some sticky clients and show you what it could be doing. So I'll go to say one of the devices and look at what is happening to this device. And here I can see any impacts. The device experience is impacted here, and there are a few places where I clearly see that there were some impacts that in the Wi-Fi experience of this device. And I can come back to wireless experience and see what is happening with this device. And further on, if I go down to event analysis, I have more information about this. So I can see that there's a roaming failure. And if I click on this, I can see further more details. So I have this device, and I can also see using some kind of a client mirroring algorithms. We also find out using our RRM, we find out that, okay, this device is seeing 2 APs and is closer to the 20F9 AP, and it is getting poor signal from 24C2 and so on. So from this, we also are able to map the coverage of the entire network and also find the holes where the coverage is very poor and where you may have to either increase the transmit power of the APs in the vicinity, or you might have to add more APs, and you can come up to those inferences as well. So we cover a lot of enterprise scenarios that are enterprise problems that are common here. Like we extensively look at roaming issues, which could be due to sticky clients or poor roaming experience or many other reasons, or including poor coverage. And we also look at steering related issues, and we look at application related issues and so on. So with all these things, what we have done is we have done rapid detection of the problem, and we have rapidly drilled down the problem to the exact location where the problem is happening. And we have provided rapid root cause analysis. And wherever possible, we can also automatically fix the problem without even having a manual intervention of a network administrator. And we have rapidly done troubleshooting of the problem with lower level details, if at all the rapid resolution hasn't helped you. So in all these things, we have proactively found out the issues, and we have solved the problem in minutes, if at all manual intervention is required. And we have solved the problem in seconds wherever manual intervention is not required at all. So this is how we try to bring down the skill level that is required and also resources that are required to manage a Wi-Fi network. And so this is event-to-event analysis, right? Wherever the problem happens, our problem would be happening, we are immediately resolving this. In addition to that, we also have very insightful reports which help you understand what exactly is happening in the network. You can see what are the common issues. You can see what are the common problems in specific AP models or AP firmwares. Right now we have only one firmware, so you're seeing one here. But you can see the issues, and you can also see the number of issues per firmware or per AP models and so on. So you can look at the kind of issues that are happening in the entire network over a period of time. And you can also see which firmwares are doing better, which AP models are doing better in the network. And you can get a lot of these insightful reports over time so that you can understand the most nagging issues in your network, and you can take measures to solve them, which could involve things like adding more APs to ensure roaming is smooth. You might want to upgrade some of the firmware that are poorly performing, or sometimes even change the AP models or whatever needs to be done. So to conclude all those rapid troubleshooting that we have done and rapid detection that we have done, we have also come down to optimizing the network in the longer run using the right kind of data and right kind of understanding, so that end to end, you are making your network better and better over time, which means that you are reducing your OpEx cost by rapidly solving the issues with fewer resources and not really requiring very skilled people all the time. And your customers are also happy because they have fewer problems over time, and whatever problem that they see are also quickly resolved many times even before they realize that there is a problem. Right, so that's about how we do it, and that is how we organize our software and solution, and how we kind of take care of your managed Wi-Fi end-to-end and ensure that everything is working smooth. Let me just go back to one of the earlier slides that Bhaskar has shown and quantify what I have shown you so far. Reduce support effort. I kind of showed you how we rapidly solve the issues and you don't need to spend too much time on it. Optimize performance, which was also evident. Improved visibility. You see what is happening in the entire Wi-Fi network. And improved availability comes from long-term reports that kind of tell you what is happening, and by optimizing the network further from the reports that we are providing to you. And from all these things, we are able to see from historical data from our customers that we are bringing down OpEx cost by 70%. And we are also resolving problems faster than what we used to do by 60%. Right, so I think that concludes my demonstration. Over to you, Łukasz, if you have any.
Really appreciate. Yes, really appreciate, and that is really impressive. I was making some notes, and I was also trying to take those questions from our audience. Mm-hmm. So maybe let's start, if I can, from my one, because on the beginning, so this is our first, let's say, meeting here, and I know that you are just entering our European market, but you already mentioned that, and we have a couple of different discussions. You are already quite broader use in India. So is there any data that you can share, you know, how many of your agents, how many APs is your AI technology monitoring today, every day?
Yes, absolutely. So we have been monitoring more than 3 million, probably close to 4 million CPEs. This is mostly on the home network, also on the enterprise network. So 4 million devices, 4 million Wi-Fi routers are being currently monitored by our virtual wireless expert solution at this point in time. And by virtue of those 4 million routers, we are also analyzing data related to about more than 15 million mobile devices or laptops, basically stations that are connected to those routers.
Yeah, so kind of like a client, absolutely, yeah. So that is really impressive, and this is just a beginning, yeah.
Yes, it's only about a year and a half since we went to the market with the solution, and all this data that I'm talking to you are acquisition within about a year and a half.
I have a question from Dave. How do you validate the AI insights? How do you know that the decisions are beneficial and that it doesn't impact, the performance in negative way?
Right, absolutely.
So,
So the way we do it is, one is our AI can detect the issues and automatically say change the frequencies or steer you to a different band and so on, right? And if you go back to, if you can remember some of the screens that I showed you, we also detect what exactly, so we detect those events, we show them happening in our dashboards. There are times where those Wi-Fi events would have happened, and they'll be available and they'll be shown as an event that has happened in the dashboard. And when you click on those events, you can also see evidential data related to why we have made the decision to change the frequency. So you can look at the congestion level on the radio at that point in time. You can look at application experience at that point in time. So similarly, we provide all the evidential data. So we call that evidential AI for that matter. So whenever a AI event has occurred, a channel change or a frequency change has occurred, which was triggered by the AI, as a network administrator or as a customer, you can also look at the supporting data related to that AI triggered event. So the customers can actually go and look at that and kind of make sure that this decision has been made properly because of so and so reason and so on. And over time, they kind of get the confidence, okay, as they keep seeing that our AI module has done the right decision, they'll be getting the confidence based on the evidential data that we have provided, that, okay, this is indeed the right thing to do, and so on.
thank you. So another one from Frank. So I believe that this is quite related. So how about the roaming? Because they are the most complex issue, yeah?
Yes.
So that is the biggest challenge which we need to face.
Yes, roaming is obviously one of the biggest enterprise problems, and it's also a little bit difficult to solve. So we look at roaming at various ways. We detect various different kind of problems related to roaming. We are able to look at poor coverage. I showed you a demonstration of client mirroring and how many APs the client is able to see and all that. So that's one of the ways where we look at the coverage at different parts of the network, and we can give you an idea, or we can give you a complete coverage on the network and show you where you have holes and be able to fill that. And that's one of the things, one of the problems that are common in roaming that we solve. And we also look at other problems based on the signal levels and the roaming attempts from the client, in case the client is being sticky and because of which it's getting poor experience. In such case, we flag that as an event and tell that there is a sticky client. And we also try to boot the client away proactively if possible, provided the AP permits us and the settings allow us to do it. And we also see if AP is not proactively pushing the client away to another AP and all that. So there are various scenarios that could happen in roaming, and we try to cover all different kind of problems that could happen because either the AP is not doing a good job, or because the device is not doing a good job, or because the coverage is not very good. And in all these situations, we'll alert the administrators so that they can look at the solution that needs to be done, which could include adding more APs, or increasing the transmit power, or reducing the thresholds at which the stations move from one AP to another AP, and so on.
Perfect. So, everything what you show, it was working extremely smoothly. Yeah, you've been just clicking, it was live, and I know that there is your read data from your office. So how about the management overheads? You know, what exactly need to be behind to support that all? Yeah.
Okay, so when you're talking about management overheads, so you are probably talking about how much bandwidth our solution uses. That is one of the management overheads.
Exactly.
And yeah, so when it comes to bandwidth, we really require very little data to be sent over the network to manage our solution. And because a lot of intelligence, a lot of computations happen on the edge, not so much on the server side. So we do a lot of computations and we only send very minimal required data down the wire to our server. Currently, our management overhead in terms of bandwidth is only about 0.4 kbps, which is pretty much negligible compared to the speeds that we have today, right? So there is hardly any network overheads that we use. There are also other things that you might have to be aware of. As Bhaskar mentioned, the way our architecture works is that we install an agent on the edge device, on the router, which means that our solution also uses part of the AP's resources, the CPU as well as the memory. And even there, we have done extensive tests and we ensure that we don't cross about 10 to 15% of CPU of the AP, which is quite a safe zone for enterprise grade access points. And in terms of memory, we take up about 15 MB of memory in the access point, which is also quite a safe zone in terms of enterprise grade access points. And if required and when required, we can also make do with lesser CPU and lesser memory by sacrificing some of the advanced features that are available. And what we have seen is we have installed our agent in a variety of APs, including top-of-the-line enterprise APs. And with some compromises, we have also installed our agent in home devices, very low-end home gateways and all that. And we've been able to make all of them work without any compromise in the performance of the Wi-Fi router.
Perfect. You also mentioned it about some kind of like an end-user customer portal. So if I am understanding you correctly, you are also providing some kind of like a way of the even home users to try to fix those issues by themselves. So I know that the enterprise portal which you've been introducing to us and presenting to us today, it is not more on that ISP VSP side, but how that is looking like? It is some kind of like apps when someone can just download on your smartphone, or could you explain a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. We do have a mobile application. It's going to be available very soon to any users to download and start using. So the mobile application will do a lot of these self-healing and self-corrections that I spoke about. So with the mobile applications, the end user can download this, look at the health of their Wi-Fi network themselves, and in case there are some issues, anything that can be fixed by the user, like if there's poor signal, you'll have to reposition the CPE or move closer to the access point. So those things we recommend to the user, and whatever that can be fixed automatically, like automatic channel selection or frequency selection, those are the things that we try to fix ourselves. So there's a bunch of things that are like you can click a button and then go through self-healing process to optimize your network. And if at all you cannot solve through self-healing, then we can also assist in raising a ticket to the service provider. Plus, we also will be having an NLP-based bot, which can help you with first-level support, with which you can chat and use natural language to kind of tell the bot that, hey, I'm getting poor throughput or poor speeds, can you help me, or something like that. And we'll run a bunch of tests, we'll provide recommendations, or we'll automatically heal the problem that could be happening. In addition to that, the app will also help you look at your Wi-Fi performance. You'll get an idea about the health of the network. You will also get to know your QoE. You get to see, you can run speed tests, and you can see the devices that are getting connected and the devices related usage and a lot of other statistics and information that will be very interesting for a home user to look at. And eventually, kind of very easily, as a layman, administer your own Wi-Fi rather than go down to support teams to help you out with.
Perfect. I am really excited. Yeah, I have even a few more questions, but I see that we are slowly consuming the whole time. Then maybe just the last one, and more to you, Bhaskar. So very briefly about your business model. Like, how do you see that? And we know that we need to go with those agents. They are going all those APs, routers. Then you are providing some kind of like a cloud access to those service providers. So how that is looking like?
So we work in multi-dimension. So we work with a lot of AP vendors or the router vendors like EdgeCore. We work with them extensively. So the solution what we offer is already on the EC Cloud. And enterprise users can just download it and start using it. So we also work with various vendors of that sort. And we also work with the system integrators who want to take the solution to a focused certain accounts, and we work along through the system integrator to map the solution in any of the vendor devices. So more often, large install bases, the network owner would go back to the vendors and say, okay, I want this agent to be installed in the AP, and then that is when we start working with the AP vendor, and we make sure that the analytics are enabled on those devices. And normally we take, we pretty much support all kind of chipsets and most of the architectures. So for us to integrate any new kind of a vendor is probably a matter of a few days or maybe 2 weeks for us to integrate them. Okay. So that is on the devices side. I spoke about the, so we also are working with like the open Wi-Fi forums, and we'll be we continue to support the open Wi-Fi environments as well in the enterprise space.
Perfect. Gentlemen, I really appreciate your time. That was exciting. I will say, like, with those 2 last wireless related meetings, that was the most exciting for me. So really pleasure. I'm looking forward. We also wanted to do some extra tests by ourselves with the Polish office, especially. So soon we will be able to share even our own experience. Once again, really appreciate for your time.